Belinda and HarperAudio Australia present this unabridged recording of
The Scholar, written by Dervla McTiernan and read by Aoife Mcmahon. Dublin, Ireland, February 2006. Prologue. Caroline was eating watermelon and pancakes in Layla Barrett's kitchen when she heard about her father's death. They were on a play date, though at 12, Caroline and Layla thought they were too old to have their social lives arranged for them. It was one of the few things they agreed on. Layla's au pair, Alice, was watching the news on the television. A blonde journalist in a ski jacket and a hat spoke directly to the camera. Owen Darcy, son of John Darcy and heir to the multinational pharmaceutical company Darcy Therapeutics, was killed yesterday in an avalanche. Mr. Darcy was skiing with a small group of friends in the Glacier du Pisaya area of the Val d'Isère resort. The glacier had been closed due to avalanche risk. There were no survivors. Caroline swallowed and put her fork down. On the TV, the journalist gestured towards a distant mountain that was all but obscured by falling snow. She was still speaking, but Caroline couldn't hear the words through a sudden roaring in her ears. Alice stood up, fumbling with the remote control, pressing buttons until the screen changed to show a soccer match, then pressing again until the screen finally went black. They sat for a moment in frozen silence. Caroline closed her eyes. The roaring in her ears faded, and she could hear her own breathing, the distant sounds of traffic, the spatter of rain on the window panes. "My dad isn't dead," she said. But when she opened her eyes and looked straight at Alice, Alice just looked afraid. Layla was staring at her, eyes wide and mouth slightly open, as if it were her father the journalist had been talking about. As if she didn't have a mother and father safe somewhere in the city, along with 2 older sisters and a younger brother who was right at that moment playing in the other room. Layla didn't even want Caroline there. She'd told Caroline that herself. Her mother had made her ask Caroline over, and she had been angry because she'd really wanted to ask Aoife. "I want to go home," Caroline said. "Please, can I go home now?" Caroline and Layla waited in the front room for Marie to pick her up. It seemed to take a long time. "I'm sorry about your dad," Layla said eventually. Caroline shook her head. "You can cry if you want to," Layla said. Caroline stared straight ahead, and after a while, Layla got up and left the room. Caroline sat as still as she could on the couch, as if by staying quiet she could keep the dark thoughts at bay. Her father couldn't be dead. Maybe he had been knocked down the mountain by an avalanche. Maybe he was lost somewhere and they hadn't found him yet. Or he could be unconscious in a hospital and the doctors didn't know who he was. Yet one thought forced its way into her head, crowding everything else out. They wouldn't have said it on the television if it wasn't true, would they? Caroline leaned forward and pushed the palms of her hands into her eyes. She pushed hard, but the tears came anyway. Marie got to the house at 6 o'clock. She said it was traffic. Traffic was terrible. She gave Caroline a long hug and kept her arm about her all the way to the car, and when they got back to the house, she made them both tea. Then they sat together at the big table in the kitchen. "I'm so sorry that you had to find out that way, from the news," Marie said. "I didn't know, you see. No one called me to tell me." Caroline looked at her plate. "Do you think he's really dead?" she asked. "Not just missing?" Marie put her hand on Caroline's and squeezed. And then she told Caroline that there was no doubt, that her father had been carrying a geolocator and his body had been found. The avalanche was just too big. Once it started, none of them had a chance. But it would have been very quick.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?